The Kraken, a mythical giant sea monster from the Scandinavian islands, said by ancient pirates to be a monster of destruction with superhuman strength and long arms. Of all the monsters of the Scandinavian islands, few are more terrifying than the Kraken, but none matches his strength, or how it destroys a ship without even touching it. The story comes from the cold seas of Scandinavia, in Norway and Iceland, among sailors who spent their lives navigating waters that could turn without warning. For centuries, these were among the most dangerous waters in the known world. Sudden storms, deep fjords, currents strong enough to pull a ship apart. Out of that world came a legend passed among fishermen and sailors, long before anyone wrote it down, a creature so massive that the sea itself seemed to obey it. But the earliest accounts don't describe a monster charging at ships. They describe something far stranger. One of the earliest known references appears in the Old Norse Urvar Otter's saga, written around the 13th century, which describes enormous sea creatures, including a mysterious being sometimes linked to the Kraken legend. But the account that shaped the Kraken as we know it came centuries later from Erik Pontoppidan, a Norwegian bishop who described the creature in his 1755 work, The Natural History of Norway. Pontoppidan didn't write folklore for entertainment. He wrote it as a serious account, collected from the testimony of fishermen who swore they had seen it. Pontoppidan described the Kraken not as a single beast with a clear shape, but as something so vast that sailors sometimes mistook its back for a floating island. No fixed form. No easy way to be sure what you were looking at until it was already too late. Fishermen spoke of enormous arms breaking the surface, wide enough to wrap around a ship's hull. Others described sudden shallow waters appearing out of nowhere, the sea floor itself seeming to rise beneath them. Later, illustrations gave it the shape of a giant squid or octopus, tentacles curling around masts. But the earliest fear wasn't about seeing a clear monster. It was about not knowing what you were seeing at all. According to the legend, the Kraken lived in the deep ocean, far below where any ship could safely sail, only rising to the surface occasionally. Sailors believed it didn't hunt the way other predators did. It didn't chase. It simply surfaced, and whatever was above it paid the price. Some accounts claim the waters around it briefly became rich with fish, tempting fishermen to sail closer, unaware they were drifting directly above it. And when it descended again, it was said to create a whirlpool powerful enough to drag an entire ship down with it. According to Pontoppidan's account, fishermen off the Norwegian coast would sometimes notice the water around them turning strangely shallow, in places where the sea should have been deep. Experienced sailors came to recognize this as a warning sign and would row away as quickly as they could. Those who didn't recognize it in time, the legend says, found the shallow ground beneath them beginning to rise and realized, too late, that they weren't floating above the seabed at all. Pontoppidan recorded these as testimonies from sailors of his era, not as historical fact he claimed to have witnessed himself. So why did this legend take such a powerful hold? Because the deep ocean, even today, remains one of the least understood environments on Earth. In the 18th century, it was almost entirely unknown. Sailors feared what they couldn't measure, a calm sea that could turn deadly in seconds, a depth with no bottom in sight, a silence that could be hiding something enormous. The Kraken gave a shape to that fear, a way of understanding a danger that otherwise had no explanation at all. If legends like this keep you up at night, hit subscribe. It helps more people find these stories. Here's what we know. Sea monster traditions from Scandinavia date back to at least the medieval sagas and were formally recorded by Bishop Eric Pontoppidan in 1755, based on sailor testimony. Here's what we think. Many researchers believe sightings of the Kraken may have been inspired by real encounters with giant squid. A species that can grow over 12 meters long, lives in deep, poorly explored waters, and was not scientifically confirmed by researchers until long after Pontoppidan's account. And here's what we don't know. We don't know how many of the original sailor accounts describe genuine giant squid encounters, exaggerated storms, or something else entirely. We also don't know how much of the legend existed before Pontoppidan, since oral traditions rarely survive unchanged. What we do know is that somewhere between a real animal few people had ever seen and a fear sailors carried every time they left the shore, a legend was born. One that still unsettles people who've never even been to sea. The Kraken was never proven real, but maybe it didn't need to be. Maybe it was never really about the monster. It was about a fear every sailor carried, of a place too deep and too unknown to ever fully understand. So what do you think really lurked beneath those ships? Tell me below. And if the deep sea already has you uneasy, wait until you see what's waiting in our next investigation.